Hello and welcome to AdaPulse, the community-funded news organization that's keeping you up to date with everything Cardano. And because we are community-funded, there is no coin shilling, there is no paid promotion, we don't even discuss token price. On today's episode of Exploring Cardano, we talk to Josh, the main contributor to the AdaPulse YouTube channel and a long-time stake pool operator. I hope you enjoy. So how did you actually get involved with Cardano? Where did the journey start for you?
Oh, it's an interesting start. So it started with Bitcoin, and I had a friend of mine who was working for IOHK actually, and he had a load of Bitcoin basically. This is back in the day when. So my journey started with Bitcoin, essentially. I had a friend that, I knew Bitcoin from when it was, $3. I watched it at $3. And then I thought, oh, this is interesting. I quite like the sound in this. And then I came back and it was like $60 to $70. Oh, well.
When was that? 2014, 13?
It must have been something around that time, yeah. But I had no clue how to get into it or anything like that. And then, but then further down, and then I left it again. And then a friend who worked for IOHK actually was telling me more about Bitcoin, and so it sort of sold me on it a little bit more. And that's when it was about 600 quid or 600 pounds. So I don't know if that's what, 700 odd dollars.
2015 sometime, yeah.
Yeah, 15, 16 maybe. Yeah, more. Yeah, late.
I think IOHK was only formed in 2015 as well.
Oh right, okay. Oh right. I didn't know that.
So it must be.
yeah. And so, yeah. And then so I bought my first 2 Bitcoin at £600 each. And then I'm the sort of person, when I go into something, I go well into it. So I was getting well into Bitcoin, and it was really predictable back then. It was going up, then it would go down a bit, not quite as low as it did before. And then it'd go up even higher, and then it'd come down, not quite as low as it did before again. It would just keep going up in steps. And I was just buying every dip, and I was getting really into it. And my wife thought I was going crazy for a while, and then I paid off all her bills with it, and she never questioned my crypto endeavors again. But then moving on to Cardano, like I said, I had a friend at IOHK, and introduced me to Cardano, and so I was quite interested in it. There was a lot of things about. I'm not one of those. Most people will say, "Oh, Charles's whiteboard video is where I got it all." This all came after to me. So for me, I got my introduction to Cardano, and it was a growing project, and then slowly more and more things came out about it for me. Whereas a lot of people may have knew from like whether his TED Talks or his whiteboard video. Yeah, but for me, then I didn't know much about smart contracts, and because I was just into Bitcoin at that time, which. So it all seemed a bit alien. Every other altcoin was a bit alien.
Yeah.
And I started getting into Cardano, and I started seeing, they're like this. Oh, they haven't, it's like this. And I had a dream of running my own pool. And my friend was like, no, you can't do that. You won't be able to do that. That's for that's real technical. You won't be able to do it. And so during the ITN, he hooked me up with another guy, another pool owner from the ITN, who helped me get set up on the ITN with it was a package called, I think it was JN Tools, or I think it was called, or J Tools, something like that. And it was basically, and I ran it just from my Mac, and it just ran well. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. I didn't go as far as doing the pull request for the ticker, so I never got a ticker. I just had the long pool ID. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I didn't know how to do a pull request at that time. I had no idea what I was doing, and JTools was so easy to set up. And then literally once I got it set up, I was like, oh, I've got a pool running. I have a pool on the ITN. Literally only had my own money in there, so it didn't mint a block. But I was there. And then, literally within a few days, I got sent a video of Big Pay's episode 1. and which was where he sort of started the sort of tutorials on how to build a stake pool, basically, in the new way, the Haskell way. And so at first I was a bit like, oh, why did I just do all this? So I moved on to start following Pay's videos, and they were super helpful. There were some things he omitted from his things that he never sort of solved in his videos, which at the time was a little bit frustrating because I was messaging him saying, I can't get this to work. It's not doing, you know. But what it forced me to do is to look to the community. So you had like the Telegram group of best practices for stake pool owners. And then I found in there, obviously, a wealth of knowledge that could help me in anything that I wanted was there. And there was always, as soon as I posted a question, there was someone there to help me, and which was amazing. So, and there was a lot of changes going on. So 1 minute you get your pool up and running on testnet, it's working, and then it's down, and then it's like, oh no, you've got to upgrade to this. Oh, I can't get this. I've got, you know, and there was always problems. And so at first there was this peer-to-peer thing was working back then, or seemingly so, or this topology updater just wasn't needed. And then it all changed, and I got it all up and running. And then Shelly came, so I was all up, had all my relays set up, ready to be on there for Shelly launch, like the second it launched. So I had my relays going, I was ready to go. As soon as the clock ticked, right, let's go. Right, no, I haven't loaded my block producer up, so got to wait 6 hours for that to kick in. So I was sitting there waiting. I was watching Carl from Frog Stake Pool on his video live as they did it, and then I was like, oh, well, I'm not waiting 6 hours, because at the time for me it was like 10 o'clock already, and so.
What kind of gear are you using at this point? Is it still running off the MacBook, or have you sort of invested into?
No, you can't run it off a MacBook anymore. No, no. So I had to sort of. It was a big learning curve, and that's where Big Pay's sort of early tutorials helped, because he told me some of the real simple stuff. You know, CD, change directory. You know, really super basic stuff. I really didn't know, but that's what I needed. And so I got the hang of.
And you don't come from a technical background, or
no? Well, I'm a sound man. I'm a music man. I'm music technology, and that's about as technical as I get. And obviously, I use computers, and so I know admin-y type stuff, but nothing code related or programming or anything like that. So the whole idea of getting a server up, installing the operating system on a remote server, like a virtual machine, and then getting the Cardano node stuff, and just really not knowing, like, you know. And so I was like, oh, make sure so-and-so's in your path. I'm like, oh, what's a path? You know, like literally as basic as that.
I can imagine,
But I mean, with determination, I'm one of those people that just sort of, when I get into something, I really get into it, and that's what I want to do. And then I just hammered through until eventually Shelly launched, and I had my pool up and running, and I was going. And then it was all about gaining delegation, which has its own struggles, which, you know, not quite what I envisaged. I don't know. I think I just envisaged being there was enough. I mean, I had my plan. I've always had a project behind my pool. So at the time when I first started, it was ATM. Well, it was ATM 1. It was called ATM Stake Pool, and that was because I wanted to break down the barriers of entry to the crypto space, or in this case, Cardano in particular. Whereas having ATM machines, where, like with the Bitcoin machines that you see around, where you can put in money and get Bitcoin and vice versa. But I wanted to do that with Cardano machines, or at least get them reprogrammed, so you could do the same with Cardano. And after a while, after talking to people in the space, I think the pool was Boynex. They're not around anymore. But what they did, they already had a lot of Bitcoin machines. And so I hopped on a chat with them just to pick their brains. Turns out there's so much regulation. The KYC is still there. And so the problem, sometimes you've got to realize, in not just in business, but just in life in general, that, you know, your ideas aren't always great. And so after a while, I realized, there's a problem I want to solve here, and this isn't solving it. But I wanted to keep my ticker. So then I was like, I want to help people create stake pools. So ATM then stood for Ada Technology Management. So
Nice rebranding.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. No change of logo, no nothing, and yeah. And so I wanted to do stake pool as a service, but I mean, as you probably know, that's pretty frowned upon now, and you know, because it's considered bad for decentralization. Also, I didn't get any business either, so which didn't help, and yeah. But then I started doing my videos just on my own, and. Yeah, so just basically getting the week's news, going through the news, and then just picking an article that I liked, or a topic that I liked, and then just going through that essentially. And also had a thing, FUD of the week, which I loved doing because there was always some FUD going on around Cardano at the time.
There's always FUD.
Yeah, and generally by the same people as well. So I used to do this thing, FUD of the week. I'd whack the reverb up on my thing and just go, FUD of the week. And it was good fun. But what I found hard, which isn't my forte, I'm not a writer. I'm not like yourself. I'm not a writer. So it took quite a lot of time for me to write these articles. So I was only pumping out one video a week, and it was one video of just me talking to a camera. In fact, I even started using the camera on just my Mac, so the quality wasn't great, the sound wasn't great. But and then I got to a point where I approached Jeff and said I was going through the website of AdaPulse. I was like, wow, these articles are like amazing. They're great.
So much info there, so much source info that can be turned into videos.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, hang on a minute. We're writing the same stuff here, except you're pumping it out a lot faster. And I just want to do videos. That's what I want to do. And I approached him, and he was kind of a bit sort of, all right, let me think about it and I'll get back to you, because me and Jeff were, as he would say, we're in the trenches together. So back, like when I was saying before Shelley launch and everyone's helping each other, Jeff was helping me with stuff. So, yeah. And then I took his sort of, I'll get back to you as a, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah, and then a few months later, while I was building this very office, in fact, just before it was finished, he got back to me and said, yeah, Josh, are you still interested in doing those videos? I was like, shit, yeah, I've just built an office especially for making these videos and stuff. So yeah, absolutely. But I mean, in that time, I had a bit of a journey. So there was some ups and downs. I had a friend who helped me put a new pool together, and the idea was to have a puzzle based on the Cicada 3301. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
And that's what the pool was based on. We were completely sort of undoxed. The servers were based in Iceland, paid with Bitcoin, so it wasn't tracked to us. Started off with a website on the darknet, which I had to learn how to make because we didn't want to be traced. And then in the end, because I have my own company with a web designer, I got him to put together a website that can put all these puzzles that we had together. And so the idea was that people can solve these puzzles. So I said to make it safe, and the thing is, he made it safe by sort of hiding a lot of the sort of code, so it was kind of confiscated JavaScript, basically, just mixed up with a load of nonsense. However, we piqued some interest, in particularly Smaug, who runs Pool PM. And so he was noticing some weird action. First of all, the name of this pool, and there was some money coming in to this pool. So we were talking like it had 60-odd million ADA just randomly in this pool. So it had people talking. Even Charles had to do a tweet saying, I don't know who this pool owner is, but it seems like a cool idea. Basically, essentially...
Where did you get the 60 million ADA from?
Well, that's an interesting question itself. So, I couldn't fully tell you. My friend who was the marketing side managed to get it in there somehow. But then I don't know if he was happy with the way I was working, or I took it as a bit, him trying to tell me what to do in ways that, he's not my boss. Like, he wanted to control me, and I didn't like that. So I just still worked at my own pace. He wanted for example, he wanted the CNCLI type I don't know if you know what that is, where you can predict all your blocks
No.
and things. So yeah, that's a bit of code where you can, which so I can look up and I know exactly when all my blocks are scheduled for the month, for the epoch. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
So I know. So if I want to update my server, I know when I can do it because I know when there's a gap in my block production. Yeah, so he wanted that in the very early days, and I was like, "Whoa, slow down! It doesn't make a difference to block production. You just want to know when your blocks are, and you're not even running the pool. So what's the deal here?" Yeah, and anyway, but whoever the 60 million came from, I was given a message that what was being offered to by another pool operator, and I was a bit like, thanks, my friend. Well, I don't know why you want to talk yourself out of money, because unless that whale is you, there's no point in us changing the deal that we have here, which is a normal sort of operator-delegator relationship. But then that person left for the other pool, and so we had a big falling out. It was all quite public, and I aired dirty laundry in public for all my teddies out the pram. got blocked by the other pool operator, and then realised I probably had to grow up a little bit and moved on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so here I am, and I've had the stake. So if you look at my pool history,
what's it up to now? Is it?
We're actually at 1.5 million.
That's not bad.
Yeah, which ain't too bad now. So
over block production, right?
Yeah. Scheduled just over a blocker an epoch. I think that's due to my affiliation with Teddy Swap. Maybe it's hard to tell because I'm a drop operator, so I get small amount promotion there. I don't know if you know, I do AdaPulse videos.
Oh, really?
And then I was on the Teddy Swap reserve list. So, and they've got quite a cool system where it's the lowest ones at the top, and you get a little bonus if you delegate to the lowest ranking pool. So I think it could be the stake I got from there. It's really hard to say where it came from. But now, like I said, like you say, I'm in block production place, which is nice. So I'm just,
and that's the hardest thing for a smaller sort of pool operator to without a project behind them to get to that threshold is probably one of the hardest things. Sort of once you're over that, you've got some income coming in, and then it's all about sort of just extra growth there.
That's the thing. I mean, but I like to think I do have a project going because my work for AdaPulse is kind of my project. I don't get told, as you know, you work for Jeff too. He doesn't tell us what to do.
That's the nice thing about it. Yeah,
we're all given free reign to do what we like. He wants it to be as much like a DAO, whatever a DAO is, as possible, which is cool. So he gives people free reign to express themselves and express their opinions and things like that. So it's pretty cool. So that's kind of my project. And also, I mean, I've gone for a phase of minting when FTs were first a thing, so we were able to add metadata and stuff. I did that for people, started offering that for free, and I was doing it manually, so it took quite a long time. And in return, I was hoping for delegation. I did get a bit for a while, but I think, as with a lot of pool operators, they will suffer from this. You have a small run of bad luck, your delegators are going to leave for someone who's regularly producing blocks, because once they see epochs with no rewards, they're just going to go, and that is the price to pay of a small pool operator. But I mean, I'm a bit different, I'd say, from a lot of small single pool operators. I don't go into. There's a lot of groups that go around where it's community driven pools. The single pool alliance, something like that. There's all sorts of little affiliations you can be part of, which are basically just groups of people. And I don't know, I like to see myself a bit like Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty, really. I'm just on my own. I just do my own thing, just do whatever I like. Don't like to tie myself with anyone. But and then here I am, really.
Well, what do you think about sort of marketing for pools? Because pretty much as a SPO, you have to be a marketer as well, or you have to have some sort of marketing department working for you. Because unless people sort of know that you're out there or what you do or whatever project, you're going to struggle for delegation. I mean, I just know from when I was pulling my ADA off Binance and putting it into a pool, I was just trying to find a pool that sort of I backed or wanted to back, and trying to find a website that would aggregate and tell me what all these pools were was actually quite a hassle. And even for me, like someone who's been in the community a bit. It's not that easy to find, a good, nice, small pool that produces consistently, but is also like great. I don't want to delegate to one of the pools that has sort of like these big conglomerates of 6 different pools, and sort of isn't great for the network. What do you think about sort of that marketing aspect for small pool owners?
Well, it's I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I don't think my marketing's that great. I don't know. I think what it really requires is for you to build a community. And it seems like, especially like you were talking about the MPOs, people have got quite a few, they have a real connection with their sort of delegators. And that was something I never really fully achieved. So, I don't know what marketing is. I mean, I'm going to be pumping up myself this year. So I'm revamping my website, going to get some SEO going on, and see how that goes. And I want all my videos going there for people to be able to see what I'm doing. I've got NFTs that I want people to see. I've got tokens. I've got tokens being released on Drip Drops coming soon. I've got a fungible token coming out on Drip Drops imminently. But
okay.
I don't know if you've seen. I like to put my child's artwork in NFTs, so she has her own.
Oh, I did see that on Twitter. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cute.
Yeah, no, I love it. So that's going to be on the website too. I call it my eternal fridge. So as time goes on, because when you have kids, you put stuff on the fridge, and after a while, the work just sort of degrades and things, and you might end up putting it in a box that goes in the loft. Whereas I'd like to do a high quality scan and put it on, even though it's just this crappy little kid's drawing sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just that for her, she likes doing the art, but she likes the fact that I make it an NFT. So she'll come and show me a piece of artwork and be like, "Can this be an NFT?" And sometimes I'm like, "Yeah, maybe you could do a bit better. Maybe you could do a bit better next time," and see, But at the same time, there's this, "Oh wow, you've done some great artwork. Love it. Let's make this, an NFT." And then she likes seeing me showing her and Paul PM. I'll show her on my phone. Go, "Look, this is yours, and this is what I've written about it." So I always get her to describe it to me. What is it? And then I'll try and get that in the description. And so but that's just a hobby, really. I think all my NFTs will probably be hobbies, because I want to release music as well. And there's lots of up and coming projects that are going to be good for that, because obviously you've got Noom. I mean, Drip Drops is technically a music distributor as well.
Okay.
So I've got all sorts of things that I want to do. Sorry, what was that?
How is Drip Drops a music distributor? I've not looked into Drip Drops actually that much, but
yeah, I mean, I interviewed them recently. You should watch the video.
I looked through that briefly. I thought they were mainly a sort of like a voting platform.
No, well, that's
or was that just recently?
Yeah, well, the voting platform. I think the voting aspect was. They got funded through Catalyst, because they've been working on it it started off for their own system, and then they realised that it had wider wider use case. So I think they got funding that way to do that. And so then I think because they were funded, they were doing the Catalyst Circle voting thing, and but during that conversation, speaking to them, I mean, they've got musicians on there. You've got like Six City, who are almost like a music publisher, I guess, now, on Drip Drops. And so it's just a good way to get your music out there and for people to hear it, really. And so I thought, I've got a piece of music that's all about Ada and Cardano, and it had a shout out to Drip Drops in it, and AdaPulse, I have to say. So you'll have to get on Drip Drops and get that.
I want to hear this.
But so So I've got all sorts of things that I want to do and get going, but as far as marketing, I probably, yeah, like I said, maybe I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm not marketing that well, or I think there was a point when at the beginning there was a lot of delegation in flux, so to speak, and moving around, but we're at this point now. A lot of people are just very much set and forget. They'll just stake it and they'll leave it there unless there's a reason to move. Like, for example, you're in the Sunday swap thing and people move over to get their Sunday swap tokens, or you're in some sort of ISPO, or you add some sort of value. So that's what I'm trying to do at the moment, build up value to my pool. So, for example, if you delegate to ATM, you get a bonus on drip drops. You now earn Teddy swap tokens by staking with me, and and I'd add other functions as well, like maybe something with NFTs, like you own an NFT, you can get like maybe any tokens I release, you can then get airdrop to you and stuff like that. So I think we're at a point where marketing is more about adding value, but how you make people aware.
It is at the end of the day all about adding value. Did you see much change when the whole FTX thing happened? Because I'd imagine, like me, I sort of pulling all of my crypto off exchanges pretty rapidly. I'd imagine quite a few people did that. I would hope so.
I actually saw no change at all.
Oh, really?
No. There's a lot of things that have happened where I thought I would see change and I didn't. So yeah, FTX didn't affect me. I had the Cardano Foundation delegation once of 15 million in my pool, and that was in like 3 months. And that was all the time while I'm doing the AdaPulse videos. And literally not a single delegator entered my pool. So there's nothing necessarily to do with the amount of stake you have in your pool. Maybe I'm just unlikable. Who knows? It's difficult to say.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think it's that. But
sweet. That's sweet of you to say.
Well, what are sort of the sort of like the monetary aspects of running a pool? Because like I would read quite a few blogs, and these are probably from maybe a year or two ago. I think less so now, of people sort of running pools for sort of like side income. What is sort of like the validity of that now? Is it, can you run a pool and be fairly profitable, or is sort of the profit? Or is it less profit and more of just a hobby that...
Yeah, I mean, I don't... A lot of people like to call it a business and treat it like a business and call their delegators customers and things like that. But for me, it's always been the hobby side. So and so I don't cash out my ADA when I get rewards and things like that. It just goes into the pot. So it's definitely not about money for me. So I don't really keep track of it that way. But I mean, if you've got a successful pool, it definitely is profitable if it's successful. But I mean, I just don't keep track of it like that. So I couldn't give you the nuts and bolt figures because my pool, like a few weeks ago, I had like less than 300,000 ADA in there. So that definitely wasn't profitable. But I kept it there anyway because I like being a pool operator. Every block I'm minting a little bit of history. Okay.
Yeah, you are.
More people minting more history than me, but I'm still minting history. I still minted a block, I think, in the second epoch of Shelley. So,
wow.
So it's still one of the.
So you still have something to like point at back in the future and say, that was me. I helped in the early days.
Yeah, exactly. There's that, and when the NFT side came out, or I created the first music NFT on Cardano. So I created my Play Me list, which was there was no sort of real standards for metadata at that time. So I was really trying to wing it, and how can I get music on there? So I had to put music on as an image because I knew no other way. Since then, people have come up with, like, if you look at what Andrew Westberg has done, he's really detailed how metadata could be structured for music and music videos as well. But for me, I was just uploading the sound. Instead of an image, it was a sound file. So you could still go on Pool PM and click the image and play the music. And that was at the time. So we were in the Wild West in those days. And so that's something I always call back on as being the first music NFT creator on Cardano. But, you know, in an early space, everyone's a first at something. So whether it really is some sort of claim, because it doesn't make my music any better. But it, for me, just knowing I was the first to do it is good enough for me. Although
it's a nice thing to have in under your belt.
It is fairly meaningless. I appreciate that, but for me, it just means something. You know.
Music sort of like NFTs. I've been looking into it. NFTs on blockchain like recently for the past few months, and still I'm not at the point where I truly believe in what's going on. I feel like, especially, we've had sort of the CNFT boom recently, but I feel like the NFT space has just gotten incredibly stagnant. Like, pretty much most NFT projects are just that extra collection with some sort of utility or a token drop behind, and a lot of the sort of the floor price is done through wash trading and push blood. And I would say like 90% of people who buy NFTs are buying them to hopefully sell them at a higher price, right? They're not buying them for like the art. Like, a lot of people say, oh, I like the art, but I think maybe it's like 5% actually really like the art that are buying.
Yeah, if people really were doing it for the art, they'll be buying NFTs of the Mona Lisa and Van Gogh just because they like the art. But I mean, I guess but then again, you could say the same with Pokemon cards. You know, I could create a card that looks just like a Pokemon card, but it's not a Pokemon card, is it? It's a knockoff. So maybe there's an element of that, but I mean, I think the future of NFTs is all in the utility. I think I'm with you there. I mean,
it has to be utility, and I think something like music would be just revolutionary in the way that sort of musicians are actually rewarded for their music. I think like most people are now aware of how bad the music industry actually is in terms of rewarding the musicians and not actually the publishers. And it's gotten a little bit better, I think, but still it's really not great. And I think something like, if you created a sort of a decentralized Spotify where everyone had uploaded their music as NFTs, and then you would pay a subscription to the actual site, and then depending on like the tracks that you listen to, a proportion of that income then goes to that creator. Something like that would be sort of revolutionary in the way music's actually produced.
Similar to what Noom is doing, but what Noom also do is they fractionalize NFTs, so you're able to sell the royalties your music. So for a struggling musician, you can sell the rights to a piece of music. So let's say you hear a piece, this track is banging, you know, this guy's on it, I can buy a bit of this, so if this makes money, I get a cut of the money that this track can make.
Wow.
And Noom is also a streaming service as well, I believe. So I mean, I don't know the full details of how they're going to do it. Do we have a blockchain player? Is that how it's going to work? I don't know. There's so many possibilities with music, but it's just a question of finding that right one. And so I think there'll be more than one way for music to come out, but and which is healthy. You know, you've got to have competition and stuff. But yeah, so who knows? I'm not part of it. I want to make music and I want to get music out there, and I want to do it through NFTs. But yeah, we're still waiting for the infrastructure, really.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're still sort of like in the pioneering phase of blockchain. I mean, blockchain's been around for 11, 12 years now in total, but it's still fairly new in the scope of sort of what it can achieve. And I think we've still got to like all sort of remember that. But like, I guess that's what brought me to Cardano and probably brought you to Cardano, is just the principles that it was based upon compared to sort of all the other blockchains out there.
Yeah, I mean, but the one thing about Cardano, because I believe in crypto, although obviously everything I do is kind of all Cardano based. You know, like most people in the Cardano community, we're all about interoperability. We want crypto as a whole to succeed. We're not really against everyone, although seemingly everyone is against us. I did.
Well, which is so surprising. I really wonder why that is. But I think like possibly it's a small part of jealousy, right? I think
we're also not
when some
blockchain, so we don't pay for coverage. We don't have people who have vested interest in making it succeed for the, like big whales, like, if you look at the proportion that was allocated to the team and stuff like that with Cardano, it's kind of similar to Ethereum in that sense. But if you look at like Solana, obviously it's huge chunk is still kept by the team, and so there's vested interest there to get good publicity and to pay for that, whereas Cardano doesn't do that. So I don't know whether news outlets are paid to FUD Cardano. I don't know, but we definitely don't.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But then again, there's nothing wrong with being the underdog either. So there's something in being the underdog, and we're slowly succeeding more and more. When Shelley launched, it was you're not decentralized. As soon as we were decentralized, right? You haven't got smart contracts. As soon as we got smart contracts and all that, and it just goes on and on.
It's sort of the slow and steady burn, and just working through the problems one by one, and then eventually one day people will sort of realize, wow, we're 10 miles ahead of the competition.
It's death by 1,000 cuts, I think, is what Cardano is. It's just slowly chipping away. But again, it's not about ruling them all, though. It's about bringing everyone together. We want to. Ethereum is so far developed, it's so far ahead in a lot of ways when it comes to like adoption and like all the dApps and things like that. And why recreate that when we can just bridge the gap between us? We're all the same. Like even from Bitcoin maxis to Ethereum maxis to whoever, Solana, we all really ultimately believe in the same thing, which is we all believe in the three pillars: the decentralization, the security, and whatever the other pillar is. My mind's gone blank, but you know what I mean. That's
actually a really, really good point, because I think people sort of get into these small arguments within communities and within blockchains, and they don't realize they're sort of like arguing the same points. Like at the end of the day, we're all here for one reason. Or a set of ethoses. I don't know what the plural of ethos is. Ethi. Never had to use that word in the plural.
Where's ChatGPT when you need it?
Where's Grammarly? I mean, you should see my writing process. It's horrific. I write the whole article and then spend probably twice the time in Grammarly correcting it.
I've corrected you on Discord before as well.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm a developer. I'm not a writer, so I'm still a massive novice when it comes to writing text.
Oh, I disagree. I think you're right. It's great. I did your article yesterday. It's a great article talking about midnight, and I learned a lot from it. So no, I disagree. I think you're doing great.
Well, thanks. It's good to know someone appreciates
you as a developer at some stage.
yeah, for sure.
I need to get some tips on how to interview. You are better at interviewing than me. I waffle way too much. You seem to have a skill of keeping it on point. And
it actually is. Like I remember the first few episodes that I did, and I remember looking back and just finishing the interview and thinking, "Wow, that went just crap. That was really, really terrible." Because you sort of go in and you think, "Well, I can ask questions and do you ask questions every day to people. It's easy." But actually, it's fairly difficult, because you've got to get someone talking. You've got to get them. You want to steer them in the right way, and sometimes you'll ask a question and it will just like fall completely dead, and you'll get no content out of it, and then you'll have to like quickly move on to the next question and try and not make that awkward and transition. Yeah, it's difficult, but when you do it after a while, you sort of get the hang of it. But I think the sort of just moving on, and I think maybe this will tie into your stake pool. We've had a debate, and I don't want to keep banging on about it, but about contingent staking, and I just want to get your opinion on it, on what you sort of think, and then maybe less on what you think about contingent staking, since I think everyone sort of knows the arguments for and against, but what you thought about the way people engaged in that conversation and what that means for the future of sort of governance for Cardano.
I've just seen this so many times. People lose their shit over anything. You know, if something gets enough traction, it just explodes and people go crazy. Like we all know, Charles first mentioned contingent staking back in 21. So, and it's the fact that he mentioned it at this particular point when there's some regulatory issues coming up. He mentions it again. Suddenly, everyone loses their shit that it's not permissionless and all that kind of stuff. From a personal point of view, I don't know whether this is a good or bad thing, but I don't give a shit because it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't affect me. I'm in the UK. I'm not under threat of regulation. I don't plan on have contingent staking. In fact, you know, keep people just delegate to me. It'll be fine. But if I have to, like regulatory wise, then of course that's what I've got to do because that's what I've got to do to comply with the law. So, but this is all, as Charles has pointed out, this is all just a load of nonsense. I don't think there's even a SIP for it yet, or there may be one now.
No, there isn't a SIP.
So there is not even a SIP. So, like, what I don't know what all the fuss is about. You know, there's all sorts of things, other things that we could be talking about. You know, like the minimum pool fee is a big issue for some. You know, and ways of rewarding, you know, pool operators and things like that. There's much more productive discussions to have, but it's just so, and and especially this kind of infighting within Cardano doesn't look good either. You know, we're kind of, it's just like looking in the mirror and shouting at yourself. And when contingent staking isn't even a thing, and it's not going to be perceived to be a thing for quite a while, you know, it's not really a. It's kind of a non-starter.
It is far off, and at the end of the day, Charles said multiple times that it will go down to sort of a members-based organisation style vote, and that will be a long way off.
Yeah, we're talking years down the line, so I just don't know why it's such a big thing, you know. And and the fact that we've got shortened to CS in Twitter threads, this is a bit like, oh, it's come to that now. Once something gets abbreviated, you know, it's
that's a great point.
It's it's in the vernacular. It's there. It's what people are talking about. But really, I just don't care.
I think pretty much most of the sane community are at that point where it's just, oh, I've had enough. I don't really want to hear about it too much more.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, too many people focus on what other people are doing and what other people are thinking.
Exactly.
When really, I mean, I'm one of those people. I just like to knuckle down and just get on with stuff. Okay, I have the odd arguments publicly with various people about things, whether it's something they've done or said, or something they haven't done, even. But yeah, I mean, this whole sort of infighting just, it's just a bad look, and it's all over nothing.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I'm happy that people are bringing stuff up. I mean, I think I'd be more worried if no one brought up anything over it. But I think it's just the manner of the discussion. Discussion should be encouraged, but not in the manner that it was taking place. Because I think it's so detrimental to I think mainly the morale of the community. I just, after a few weeks of it, I just thought I can't be bothered to engage in any of this. I mean, I think AdaWhale, you know, one of the biggest Cardano accounts, just sort of gave up, and one of the main reasons why he's just quit Twitter right now. It's
he often quits Twitter. I think he'll be back within 30 days. I think that's when they close your account. So.
Probably, but yeah, I think it just drains the morale when everyone's having to engage in this sort of big fight over nothing, and hopefully people sort of learn their lessons and we go down a better path. But
it's the engagement farming is what bothers me. It's people are using it to just farm engagement a lot of the time. It's not necessarily whether they maybe even care, but they like to put out a controversial comment to get people arguing and stuff, and it kind of works. Sometimes it works on me, not necessarily about contingent staking, but other subjects. The way people approach things just get me annoyed. And if I see it in the morning, I'm gonna reply and say some probably things I regret.
Yeah, Twitter just sometimes isn't the best conversation medium at all.
No.
But to sort of end it off on a high, what are your plans for the future, for your stake pool, for your content, for your life, I guess? Where are you planning to go in terms of the Cardano community?
Yeah, I want to add utility. I want to, like I said, I'm refreshing my website so that I'll have a lot of content of mine that's going on there. As long as my videos, get them in a place where they're automatically being uploaded. Maybe develop my own brand a little bit and doing maybe snippets of my videos getting on TikTok and things like that, although it all takes time. And the AdaPulse stuff is more important. But also, I want to create some functionality on my website. I definitely want people to mint their own NFTs for pretty much for free, is what I want. Connect a node to my website, and so I can get it done that way. So if people want to make their own token or they want to make something in NFT, they can do it. If they want to make an NFT series, they can do it through my website and not pay and not be tied to any particular exchange or anything like that. That's the immediate way I want to go. Yeah, get music released, get artwork out there. Well, I say artwork, maybe my child's artwork. Like she's also designing, I don't know if there's a Drippy thing going on. I don't know if you know about that for Drip Drops, where people are designing aspects of Drippy, which is their character. So you can have the body, the eyes, or do a hat. And you literally put it through a tumbler and it will just give you spit out random things. So at some point you might see some of my child's artwork in someone's NFT. So, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, and I just want to add functionality. I want people to come to my website for a reason, not just to whether it's see my videos, but maybe to mint NFTs or anything like that. And I'm open to other ideas. My ideas may change. I just want to add more stuff to add value. Maybe, I'm not going to be Paul PM or Cardano Scan or something majorly technical like that, but I do want to offer services. It's what I've always wanted to do, offer a service as part, and the pool's meant to fund that service.